Hello, I'm Kathy Woodard with Clemson University, Public Service and Agriculture, and I'm here at the South Carolina Water Resources Conference in Columbia, South Carolina. I have with me Senator Vincent Sheheen, who has been a speaker here at our conference. This is his second or third year, or second time with us as a participant in our conference. So welcome. Thank you for giving us your time.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
So I hear that part of what you talked about was the flooding that we recently had and how it impacted your particular area there, and you're in Kershaw County, correct?
I do. Actually, I represent three counties, Chesterfield,
Oh.
Lancaster, and Kershaw, and the Chesterfield portion of my Senate district was really hit hard by the water that came with Hurricane Florence. It was really a rain event there, and it brought to the forefront for my folks up there really the damage and the challenge of dealing with that huge volume of water. We closed up about 20-something bridges for a period of time. Transportation was difficult. Schools were closed. Over 100 homes have been damaged from the water itself and the corresponding damage that comes from that. It's a real challenge in the rural counties, especially to deal with that. So I got to go up and help them manage it for a day or so because it was all hands on deck to make it happen.
So what would you say in your position as being some of the most pressing needs we have in South Carolina related to water resources, water resource management?
I think with a growing population, listen, we have seen tremendous amounts of population growth in this state. Probably the most critical need right now is to understand what we have. On surface water, what do we have? How can we allocate it? Is there enough? In what areas is it stressed? In what areas is it plentiful? The same with underground water. We need to know. I'm really proud that we've led an effort to try to complete studies on both surface and underwater capacity, and then we're going to have to make the hard decisions, right? If there's a river that is overstressed right now, then we need to protect it. We need to make sure that the uses, both industrial for drinking water and recreation that are currently allowed, continue. But we might have to say future growth has to be constrained. And then maybe in other parts of the state where we do have plenty of water, we can help to shift industry and jobs and opportunity to those areas where we know we have the resource. So knowing what we have is important, and then making sure that allocations are appropriate. What I don't want to happen is for us to look back on what God gave us and wish that we had handled it differently because it's gone.
We had Rudy Mancke yesterday talking a lot about natural resources and protecting those natural resources, so that it's good to hear that you're thinking along those lines as well.
Yeah.
The other question I have for you is, what are some research needs in particular? You talked about the understanding of what we have. So what would be some research areas and priorities that you think will be important for the state to address in the near future?
I think it's critical that we understand the change in climate. And how that is going to affect our assets and our resources. So for example, in Chesterfield County, where we saw the great flooding events, what are we going to see in the future? And what changes do we need to make in that area and other areas? The bridges and causeways that currently exist, obviously were not capable and competent of handling that volume of water. We had Mack truck that literally nosedived into a creek because the bridge gave way. We had loss of life in the state. I think the research on what this changing climate is going to do to our state is critical so that we can prepare our people and prepare our infrastructure and prepare ourselves to try to deal with it.
I know that at your level you're having a lot of policy discussions, I'm sure, about water resources, water resource management. What's your next step here in the state?
Well, I hope one of the next steps I want us to see is not just South Carolina related. I want us to have increased interstate cooperation. I helped to start the Bi-State River Commission for the Catawba, Wateree, North Carolina, South Carolina, and I think in the future it's going to be really critical, especially for these larger rivers and streams, that we're working with other states to make sure that that water resource is managed not just in South Carolina but throughout the whole region. Let's face it, on the planet there are no boundaries, and the rivers don't recognize them, and we're going to have to really work together with our neighbors to manage this resource as we see the South and the Southeast grow in population. That's a real important area that I don't know is quite getting the attention that I hope it will.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for the time you give us every time we have the conference.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, and I appreciate the work that's done here.